What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Welcome to Saturday. Today, we're going to be playing around with Flex Radio, something I've actually not really done from the comfort of my shack. And yeah, this is an SDR software. I'm going to be remoting into a local club's radio and playing a little radio, but with the help of a good friend. Kyle, AA0Z, is joining me to kind of guide me a little bit because I can use all the help I can get. Enjoy the memes, and we'll get started real soon.
Hey, you had a lot of popping on your microphone.
Uh-oh, I did. Thank you.
Yeah. But it sounds fine now.
I was probably talking into it too loud. All right. Hey, everybody. How's that? Is that better, Kyle? The voice of the spirit voice of Kyle that isn't on the screen yet. Is that better?
It's good. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, Kyle, AA0Z, has joined me. Make sure you go check out his channel. Want to give all the support to him. He deserves it. Good guy. And he covers a lot of stuff like Flex Radio, Node Red, contesting, the CW Roundtable. In fact, let me get my web pulled up. There he is, right there. We're gonna fix this because I was screwing around beforehand, and obviously I didn't get all my websites set up. But let's just find the man right now, AA0Z. Let's see what he shows up on YouTube. There he is. Let's pull him up. I'll talk to Kyle.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. So how's it going, man?
Good. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so real quick, just, got to do the intro stuff. How was your field day? Did you have a good time?
It was good. Went to a couple of clubs, ate a bunch of hot dogs and hamburgers, and made some cues, and then came back and watched HRCC. So.
Yeah. Oh, did you caught my Gordon West 10 gig contact?
I caught the 10 gig contact, and remember you probably don't remember.
Oh, no, I made a contact with you. That's right.
Yeah, you made an FTE contact with me.
I did. Yeah. I do remember that. In fact, that was we were testing the outer boundaries of our little local area Wi-Fi LAN that we've set up. So I had to be out in the boony area of the, almost on the perimeter of how far we could go because I needed the 10 gig antenna facing downstream, if you will, down into the South Bay area. And so my Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough to get back to the main network. So I kept having to go back and forth with my laptop to sync it up, to sync up contact. It was pretty ridiculous.
What a pain in the butt.
Yeah. No, it was fine though. At the end, I ended up just moving my station back into the main tent because I was going to run off their stuff anyway with the 705. But yeah, we were all QRP. It was great. We had a lot of fun. Yeah,
that's 10 gig contact with Gordon was awesome. It's I'm glad that you get it on video, and it's amazing on all the cool things that come out at Field Day and all of the kooky things that happen on all the experimentation. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks for coming out. The reason I have Kyle out is Kyle's been a longtime advocate of Flex Radio. You use them in your contest station, right? You remote into one. So he's a great guy to kind of walk me through this. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not new to SDRs, but at the same time, Flex, and they all kind of have their own idiosyncrasies of how to use them, right?
So, yes. Were you waiting for an answer from me?
Yeah,
validation?
Sure. Yeah. So we're both. Oh, where did he go? Oh, that's why I've got to click that one. So we're both, I think, lined up for 8600s. Not the M model. We just went with the big box.
Yep.
So we're both excited for that, for whenever that is going to happen. We know that, Kyle was telling me that sometimes stated dates may not be hit exactly for when we might get them, but we're eagerly waiting. So we'll just say that. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say it's if the date passes, it's going to be like Christmas. It's going to be even better. It's going to be more sweet.
I think so. So I'm obviously using a club, so I'm not going to walk you through the setup of like the IP addresses and the passwords that you have to give to this. I'm just going to assume that you know how to set up that initial thing for Smart SDR. And that is exactly the software we're using here. So I'll pull that up really quick off their software website. That's not it, but if you want to go get your deposit in, go for it. So Smart SDR is free for Windows users. You can download this. There is iOS versions and Mac as well, but you have to pay for that, even though they have it listed there. Smart SDR, we are on 3.40, right? Is that the version number, I
Yeah,
think?
that's the latest.
Yeah. So I have that up and running. I do have the IP configured. So yeah, you type in the IP address it's a login basically with the password, and it kind of looks like this. So I'm gonna bring Kyle in here while we're talking before we get to the actual nuts and bolts here. But you're not gonna be able to hear this, Kyle, because I'm not sharing my screen yet. But if you upper right hand corner, if you click PC audio, you're now, everybody listening is hearing the radio. So we're remoted into it. All right, you can hear that hopefully. So, Kyle, walk me through this a little bit, because there's a lot of controls on here. As a new user, what should I most be interested in? And I guess also, is there a way that I can just increase the fonts on all of this? Because everybody watching me, it might be hard for them to see.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the fonts are set. But yeah, let's go over the screen, and maybe the words that we say will make it a little bit easier. So the main business is going on right in the main screen there. You've got the waterfall at the bottom, which, you know, everyone who knows anything about SDR technology, typically they have a waterfall, and Flex is no different. I believe that the waterfall looks great on Smart SDR. I really like the waterfall and how it's laid out, how easy it is to see things. And you're seeing the display, you know, right there. And then above the waterfall is a little black band, which has all of the frequencies that, and I think that they go with like 100 kilohertz, depending on how you can space those frequencies. If you put your mouse over that black bar and right click and move it up and down, or left and right, you're going to be able to zoom in and out of the band.
Oh, tell me how to do that again. So
just
middle
click,
bar?
middle bar, and then see how it's. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was wondering how to do that. Okay, so there we go. First thing I've already learned here. That's excellent.
So if you want to get really granular and just look at, you know, a certain subset of frequencies, you can do that.
Yeah, and that's actually helpful if you're, you know, if you're really only focused in single sideband, you don't need to be all the way down to the digital, CW, all that stuff anyway.
Right. Right.
And I guess the other thing I learned is I guess I just click and drag in the big water, the spectrum area on the top, and I can jump up and down, because POTA people are all on the north side here generally, is what I've been screwing around with. So continue. Thank you.
So then as you go up the waterfall, you see the yellow line, and then the shaded part to the right. So therefore, that means that there's my carrier frequency on, I can't really see, it's 14 something.
14,245.
Okay, and then you've got the 3 kilohertz upper sideband that you will transmit on whenever you go into transmit. So that shows you if you're upper or lower sideband, or if it's CW or digital. Well, CW, it's just going to be one band, because the resolution is probably not going to be that great unless you really drill into it.
Zoom in, yeah.
But then also, if you're in digital mode, which is digital upper sideband, because we're all on upper sideband for digital, it will show similar what you have displayed there. Then on the top is kind of all of your controls. So that black band up at the top has got a whole bunch of things. It's got things like volume and DAX.
And over on the right side.
I'm gonna go to my.
I'll do this for you. I'll just hover over here.
No. Go up. Actually, go up. float. Yeah, there you go. So there's a whole bunch of things going on up. Yeah, there you go. There you're at. So that's where your volume is. That's where your DSP is. That's where you change it from upper sideband to lower sideband. Your RXT for CW, if you want to transmit higher, from your carrier. And then your DAX, which is digital audio exchange. That is where we are getting audio from the Flex into your computer and maybe into WSJTX, and then back out of your computer to the Flex.
Interesting.
So that's where all of that stuff kind of lies.
Interesting.
Then Yep. So then if you take a gander over to the left-hand side, you've got a little bar. You've got some bars up there, some gray bars up at the upper left-hand corner.
Yes.
That is where, like, you add, if you want to work split, you can, if you hit the TX, it will put another transmit slice in the exact same slice, in the slice that you have highlighted now. Mm-hmm. And then you've got some notch filters that you can add. And then you've got the third one down is the band. So that's where you select the band. And then you've got an antenna where you can select different antennas. And this is where you can mess around with your RF gain. And then you've got a display button that will show, like, you can change the color from blue to purple to green to whatever you want.
Okay.
And then also it has a rate button where you can dial down the rate. So if you're at a site, if your flex is at a site that's got low bandwidth, you can dial that waterfall rate down. So therefore you're not using a lot of bandwidth to process that signal.
And that's this bar that I was at over here is all this stuff, right?
No. I'm talking about, so let's say your flex, you put it at your sister's house or your parents' house or somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's got a low noise floor, but they've got horrible bandwidth. You can dial the rate of your waterfall flowing down there and the rate that you're updating, so therefore it doesn't use a lot of bandwidth.
So you can tune it for maybe not a fantastic bandwidth environment, something along those lines, or vice
correct.
versa. Okay, cool.
Correct.
Right.
And then the last one there is another DAX channel selector, but then that is the DAX IQ. So if you want to push all of the information to, like, another waterfall, you can do that.
Okay.
Or another program.
Yeah. So there's a question if you want to take it, which I think is kind of interesting.
Oh, where's that?
Let me see if I can find it. It was
Don.
Yeah.
Don is he's
a veteran.
There.
He's a flex veteran.
Yeah.
And he knows all the questions to ask to make Kyle not trip up, but it's probably a complicated answer, I'm assuming.
Profiles, we will need at least 12 to 13 hours.
Yeah, we're not doing profiles today. I opened that up and I'm like, wait a second, I don't think I'm ready to do any of that stuff. I'm not messing around with that. But it is deep. If you wanted to go deep, this is a radio that lets you do that. There's a question, and this is, obviously this is going to be a brand question. Kyle, what are the advantages of Flex over, say, an Elecraft K4? Which is they're kind of closely competitors, if you think about it.
Yeah. We can get into the idiosyncrasies of Flex versus other radios. Mm-hmm. One of the great things that Flex touts, if you take a look at the Sherwood engineering values of how well the Flex radios receive, they hear things on the air, they're at the top of the list. But here's where the rub comes in, is if you take a look at basically any radio, any heterodyne radio that comes out, they're usually at the top of the list too, because it's just the technology it gets better, and the AGC or the analog to digital converters get better. And but the nice thing is the Elecrafts and the Flex, they're always at the top. Mm-hmm. They have really, really good ears. And another thing that separates the SDRs from some of the other radios that have firmware, that run firmware that you can't update is, and I'm hoping Elecraft gets to this point too, is where whenever Flex releases a new version of software, it's like a whole new radio. So one of the reasons why they're releasing the new 8000 series is because they can only do so much in the radio. And then the other part of the equation is you have processing power on your computer, which you run all of the smart SDR. Well, the nice thing about the SDR environment is if you put some good processing power in the Flex, you can do all of these cool things whenever you just update the software. Like if you want to put more filters in, or you want to do better wideband filtering or DSP or whatnot, it's just a matter of programming the end software, and hopefully you have enough power. And this is where Flex has introduced a new series of radios that has a lot more power, because they can't really do a lot more stuff in the 6000 series. Right. So they came out with new radios. It's got all of this processing power, and now the world is going to be their oyster, they say. And hopefully we're going to be able to have all of these really cool features, because Flex is a military, they have military contracts, and I'm hopeful that all of the things that they have learned on the military contracts, they are going to now put into the amateur radio space.
So interestingly enough, and I mean this in the best way possible, you kind of all know my thoughts on Elon Musk and Tesla. The Flex radio with the software updates kind of reminds me like the over-the-air updates that Teslas get, where it kind of like utilizes the hardware in different ways or better ways. As people get better with software, they can just push an update and boom, there you go, you got new stuff. Whereas the firmware process on some of the more traditional radios is a little bit more involved of a process. With Flex, it's like you just download the new software, run it on your computer, you're like, oh, all done. You know, it's pretty cool that way, I think. But yeah. Okay, so there's one thing I want to hit. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's like a whole new radio.
Yeah.
It's great. Whenever they come out with a new feature, it's like you have a whole, I mean, it's not a whole new radio, but it's a whole feature set of cool things.
Let's take this one question before I get to some of the things that I bumped into as I got started, and then we'll maybe do some on-the-air stuff. So question, filters are all in software, or is it in the radio? Asked James.
I believe it's all in software. All of those notch filters and all of the TNF filters, I believe that they are all in software. Now, if you got Steve Hicks on here, he would probably be like, well, Kyle, that's not entirely true.
Not entirely
and
true.
I'm sure that there's some processing power. Yeah. You're asking probably a trade secret on what Flex really does on the back end versus the front end. And I would assume that the most of the processing power is on the software side.
Now, doesn't the 8600, the new ones, don't they have a pre-selector?
Yes.
And that's a physical hardware device, isn't it? I think. Isn't a pre-selector an RF, discrete RF component? Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
There's a really good point, too, from Jody. Both of these companies, Flex, obviously, but also Elecraft, made in the USA. So for all you people that are watching, they're like, I only want to buy American. This is it, guys. Pick your poison, Elecraft or Flex. So keep that in mind. Sorry, Kyle. Go ahead. Continue your point. Great point, though, Jody.
Yeah, very good point, Jody. Yeah, I think there was that in the 6000 series too, but I think that there's been a lot of updates on the 8000 series that we're gonna be able to benefit from in the amateur radio world.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I feel like I'm diving in right at the perfect point. It's like when you got an was it like the iPhone 7? I feel like I'm diving in right at the sweet spot. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited. All right. So here's something I ran into. And again, idiosyncrasies. All companies are a little bit different with their software. Obviously, with a company like Flex, where everything is really dependent on having software running because that's what you're interfacing with. One of the first things I ran into was identifying and setting my audio chain. So obviously I have cans here so that I can listen to the radio, and then I have my microphone that I want to be able to use to talk into with the remote software. And that was the first hurdle that I kind of bumped into. So walk us through that a little bit on that first time setup, and I can kind of remember what I did. But I'm going to bring up my my sound settings in Windows because kind of it all started there, right?
Yeah, there is a little bit of issues going on, and I've ran into this with my Flex, is whenever the Flex software boots, for some odd reason, it bumps the microphone chain down to like 50% or maybe 40%.
Yeah.
So I have to go into my microphone settings in Windows, and then I have to make sure that my microphone is set correctly, and then I push the volume up to 100% like you did.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do so that my stream audio is exactly the same, because I'm using the same mic. So remember, guys, if you go back to my audio chain video that I made years ago now, I use a USB-C audio interface from my computer that I plug XLR devices into so that you can hear good quality microphones. So with that, when you start Smart SDR, it wants to duck down the gain. So you crank that back up and you're good to go. But also the big thing that kind of threw me for a loop, in the software world in amateur radio, let's take WSJTX for instance. You tell it what audio interface to use. You drop down a box and you go, I want that one and I want that one, and then it does its thing. It seems like with Flex you have to like default the adapters, right? So that's a bit different, that people probably haven't had to do that in a long time. So yeah, that was something I had to remember how to do, which I had to, I believe, bring up the control panel, which I think we have to wait a second for Windows to panic and then open it up. Yeah, there it is. So I had to open up my literal sound, the old school sound control panel, and find the speakers that I wanted to use. So in this case, my speakers and my headphones, and I had to set them to default. And then once I did that, then all of a sudden, when I hit the PC audio up in the far right corner,
3, 4, 5, 6 towers. So
we're now hearing the radio, right?
So if Flex doesn't have a way, it uses the default stuff that Windows says is default. So I'm hopeful in future iterations that Flex will say, hey, what microphone and what speakers do you want to use for just the Flex radio?
Yeah. And the cool thing, this is more of a setup thing for people that have done crazy stuff. Flex Radio creates a lot of audio interfaces that you can use for kind of passing audio logically within the computer, which I haven't got into that yet, but I'm excited because I saw all these audio adapters that it made. But when you go to recording, you got to do the same thing. So under the recording tab, you got to go find your mic. See, like all these DACs, RX1s, 2s, 3s, 4, you got to bypass those. I don't remember where my mic is. It's down here somewhere, I think. Right there, yeah. This analog 1+2, it's my Focusrite USB adapter. So once I did that, then now my microphone was connected to this remote radio that I'm remoting into, and also I had my cans for ears, so I was good on that sense. So that was the only kind of like major thing I had to do, if you will.
Yeah, setting up the microphone, like once you figure out, you go through the process, you have that aha moment, and then everyone's like, oh, I understand. And then it doesn't become an issue anymore.
Right. That is a good point we should probably hit up. So I've only been doing single sideband with this. I actually did link this up with Ham Radio Deluxe, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Ham Radio Deluxe then is also connected to my WSJTX, so that's how I do FT8. But the big thing with these remote software radios, software-defined radios, is the keyers, and how do you interface your keys, particularly on this remote setup, Kyle? I'm not there yet, but I know I will be at some point. How would you interface a key in a remote configuration like this?
Yeah, so again, Flex is working on this issue. There is quite a few ways to remote or to get a keyer into the Flex radio software. One, if you go back to, actually, Josh, go back to your Flex, and I'll show you. There's a in the lower right or lower left hand corner, there is a grayed out button that says CWX.
Yeah, I
click
see it.
That in
right
the
there. Okay, I've clicked it. Yes. So let me move myself. So that's a keyboard type, right?
You can keyboard type, and then whenever you hit the send button, it will send CW.
Kyle's panicking. He's like, Josh is
well, you're on upper sideband now, so. So that is one way. If you are, that's how I kind of do POTA whenever I'm on the road. Is I will just bring that up, and you can type the CW that you want to send, and it sends.
Yeah.
So that's one way.
Now,
another way is, yeah, go ahead.
No, keep going, because there's a couple of comments that are pouring in, and I think you're going to hit it because you've already got the device, and we're going to have you hold it up in a second. But go ahead. Yeah.
So there is our friends from Halibut Electronics. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably. It is called the Halikey, and Smitty from Halibut Electronics has made this device. It is a USB on one end, a USB-C, and then it's got a ring tip sleeve on the other end. So this is where the rub comes in. For Windows, you can use this as a PTT. But if you run the Mac software that Flex endorses, I think it's $50 from Marcus. You can use this device and plug a CW key in it, and it will key just like you key at home. There are other ways of getting a key into the Flex software. Here at the house, I use the CW hotline, the guys that have made the CW hotline keyers. So you buy two, you have one at your house, and then you put the other one at the remote station, and then you link them up to the same network with the same SSID, and anything that you send at your house gets sent at the remote station, and then that has an output and just goes right into the keyer into the Flex.
How's the delay on that? Is it okay?
It's great. It reproduces my fist perfectly.
Wow. Oh, that's kind of cool. So with the Hala key, you can actually use that for a foot switch too, if you wanted to do. Was
correct?
That you're telling me, yeah.
So the main goal of this Hala key, which is great, is you plug this into USB into your computer, and then it automatically registers with the Flex software, and it basically shorts pins. I think it's 8 and 9 on a serial device, and it plugs into your foot switch through the ring tip sleeve, and it shorts just because a foot switch is only tip and ring, right? And so it just shorts out those pins, and whenever it shorts out the pins, it puts the radio in transmit, and then whenever you let off the foot switch, it doesn't short them out, and the radio just goes into regular mode.
I love it. Yeah, so there are options, and that's pretty inexpensive for $29. So I guess maybe you would need potentially two of those. You need one for keying, and you need one for.
No, it automatically figures it out.
No, I'm saying you need one for your key and one for your foot switch if you wanted to do remote.
No. This. So I guess I'm not explaining it. So whenever you plug this into your computer that's running Smart SDR,
okay,
it automatically figures out if you're in CW mode and you plug your CW key into it, it's going to key CW for you whenever you. Okay.
Well, I'm answering more of the logistics question. So my foot switch is down at the bottom of my desk. And my key is at the top of the desk. So I don't want to unplug it and have to run wires all over the place. You could run two, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, you can't.
Oh, you
can
can't?
only run one.
Okay.
You can only run one.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. I'm glad I asked this because I'm going to go buy the dang thing and be like, I'm going to buy 5. We're going to get all the things.
No. You can only buy one. Only can buy one.
Okay. Very good. Hey, got a super chat from Mr. K Booty. How you doing, man? I use a serial port USB adapter to a cheap foot switch and PTT remotely with that. You configure it on Smart SDR Cat as a hardware PTT. So
yes.
There you go.
So before, that's exactly what I did, Mr. Booty. So I made this dongle, and I've got one that says key and one says PTT, and you can make a dongle that shorts out the pins and acts like a serial device. So this plugs into a Prolif or a FDDI chip, FDDI chip to USB, and does basically the same thing as one of these.
Yeah. So Don adds further context that asks the question: does that device require setup in the CAT software?
Yeah. There's a whole setup that you have to go through to set that up. Correct.
Yeah. So that's a point we should probably dip into before we try and, because we're at the half the stream here. There is another piece actually there's a couple of pieces of software with Smart SDR, but so Smart SDR is everything you're seeing in the background right now. But there's also Smart SDR Cat. And so this is that computer assisted terminal that you've heard of, Cat control, right?
Correct.
So this is like a way of creating serial ports that your computer, which is now remote, can access the radio back wherever it's at, which is really freaking cool. Let me tell you guys, because if you've used cat control in the physical sense where you plug USB into it and you're like, that's the thing, you're forever connected to this and that's it. Adding multiple software titles that want to access cat can be a problem. So you ended up having to play this like logical cat control port game where you would use like cat control software that would add these fake ports to your computer that would all connect over USB to the actual radio. So the Smart SDR has this cat software that you can just add these ports and you can number them however you want. And I've got my logger connected to one, my Ham Radio Deluxe, which does a lot of other stuff. But then you can do this with WSJTX. You can do this with this foot switch, you know, or that dongle, whatever you wanted to do, right?
So, and you can make them unlimited too. You can make many cat ports, so therefore you can connect, you know, a ton of things to them. It's not just one. So in the old days, you'd have a serial cat cable coming out and it plugged into your computer and you could only connect like maybe one thing to it. And those days are gone with Flex Radio.
Interesting. So there's another comment here. So Dronf says, get I'm assuming he meant USB gamepad, much easier, and Python script, plug and play. What's that?
So
like
I'm
going
assuming
to get my old Mad Catz controller out from the attic from my Xbox and
yeah. So Dronf, I'm assuming what you're doing is, are you getting into the APIs of the Flex Radio? Is that what you're doing? So Flex Radio's got a whole set of documented APIs that you can tap into. And you could basically, I mean, that's the nice thing about Flex Radio is the software is you're able to tap into all of these parameters. And if you want to build your own SDR to connect to the Flex Radio, you can. That's exactly what Mac SDR and I think on Linux, I think somebody is doing like Dog Park SDR maybe, or Dog Software SDR, and they're just clients, different clients for different OSs that use the API. And what you're seeing on Windows here is they've ported it to Mac and Linux, and you know, if you want to run it on a Raspberry Pi and make your own software, you can.
Yeah. Ham Radio Tectonics adds MIDI controllers, adds a ton of flexibility. So I was going to ask you that. I come from kind of a playing around with music devices background, and MIDI controllers are amazing. And so if you can plug a MIDI controller into this thing and be able to use it, I'm all set, because I can put PTT on that and a whole world of stuff on a MIDI controller. And there's a number of really cool MIDI controllers that exist that this probably just has no problem with. So that's very exciting.
Yeah. The really cool thing is if you're into gaming and you have a Stream Deck, you can connect the Stream Deck into it too. And you can like basically that's where all of the gaming and all the nerdisms come together on, I can control my Flex with a Stream Deck? Oh my God.
So I'll be able to play Helldivers and work HF contacts on the Stream Deck is what you're saying?
Yeah, you're going to be able to do WSJTX, working P5 while you're sitting there playing Diablo or something.
Spreading democracy while also working WSJTX contacts. Excellent on FT8. Love it. All right, so I think let's go back to more the nuts and bolts here, because I don't think we tapped into the right side of this whole thing. And so the right side of the screen, there's a lot going on. And I was initially fairly daunted with this. I will hit something right up front. So because I'm remote, there's something very important that I didn't catch initially, and I ended up having to phone a friend on this one. But I had to go to this thing that says default. Had to make sure, look at all these different options I had. We're not going to talk about those. I just left it on default. And then I had to set this mic option to PC because I'm remote. If you were physically there, it was probably mic or, line, whatever. But PC was what I needed to do, and that's what, made the whole thing effective, right? So that was good. I was good when I had that going. That was the big thing. But what else is important here that we need to know, particularly if we're running remotely?
Yeah. So up at the top, you've got your power out. So whenever you transmit, you're going to be able to see how much power you're putting out. But then the one below it is probably the most important is your SWR. And that's going to be showing you, if you're obviously transmitting with a high SWR, you want to stop.
Yeah, don't do that.
And probably retune. But then underneath all of that, you've got the RF power and you got the tune power. Typically the radios are 100 watts. So if you want to run 100 watts, you push the fader all the way to the right. And then the tune power, I usually put somewhere around 5 watts. But then you've got
what does that mean? What does tune power mean?
It's whenever you click the tune button for the automatic tuner inside the radio, it's going to tune at that power level.
Oh, so if you have like an amp that requires so much power in, you would adjust that to the appropriate setting for that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I usually keep that pretty low whenever I don't have my amp on.
So Paul says, Josh, can you enlarge the right side panel? I don't think we can. Guys, I don't think we can, unfortunately. That is out of my control. So that might be something we got to have Michael come on the stream and talk about how that might be a future option, because I don't think that is enlargeable. I looked into that. I apologize. Trust me when I say, though, like I'm looking at it on a 4K monitor, and it's pretty far away from me up there, and I see it fine. It's not bad. But yeah, this is also available on the iPhone. You can use this on the iPhone or the iPad or, a myriad of other devices, and you'll be able to use it.
Yep. So then coming down, you've got your ATU button and then your memories. I think everyone knows what an ATU button is. The internal automatic tuner that you can get with or without a flex. I think in the new 8000 series, they come with automatic tuners. So, yeah.
Offgrid Pete, thank you for the super chat. Also giving Flex a go with the 8600. That's right, guys. If you've go check out Offgrid Pete on Instagram. He has a really, really cool, all kitted out Jeep that he's got a Maestro in now that he's going to use to connect back to his 8600 when it shows up.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So then below that, we've got levels, compression levels. So, one of the cool things on the Flex is you can see how much compression and what your mic level is right there on the software. So that is that kind of that upper middle section. And then we've got the profile, which you just scroll down and where you have default. Mm-hmm. And then we've got some other controls here that control the compression settings. So you can put on 0 compression, you can put on little compression, or you can literally bump it up and really punch through some of those pileups.
And that's the NOR DX
yes.
and DX Plus. Okay, yes, I was told to not use DX Plus, that everybody gets mad.
No.
And I was also told
punch it to 11.
Yeah, I was also told don't bump up the AM carrier too much. Don't make it too high because people also get pissed off about that. Was that the other thing? Yeah, I don't know.
Mine's at 100%. I don't know.
The AM carrier? Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I'm glad to get some other options or other thoughts. So the one thing that I was like, hey, so I got this all set up last night and I wanted to chase some POTA, and I figured that's a good, let's stretch our legs a little bit here. And I'm like, how do I actually key this damn thing? So I'm like, I got my mic set up. I can hear everything. And I wanted to actually transmit. And I was like, what am I supposed to press on? I ended up doing Vox. So I Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test. And the Vox worked fine, but then I had to cautiously not talk and turn it on and off and blah, blah, blah. So what's the solution there? What do you do?
So I think whenever we first got on the Zoom here, you have to make sure that your slice is enabled for TX. So up there on so up there, see where it says TX, we enabled TX. So that means your slice is going to be, going to be enabled. But then also on the right-hand side, you had DAX on, which meant that all of your audios were coming through the DAX channels, which you don't want. You want all of the audio, especially your mic audio, to come through your microphone, not a program. Mm-hmm. So we had to unclick the DAX.
And then once we did that, then MOX works.
We were good to go.
Then MOX is the button.
Yes.
right? That's what you need to hit. So you hit Mox, turn it on, turn it off. That's your PTT button. Now, going back to what we said about MIDI controllers, momentary switches like foot switches, that's where you would use that as your PTT option, or physically just have a mic that was literally connected to the radio. But we're remote, so we've got to have other options. Yeah. All right. So what do we do next?
And then, and then coming down a little bit further, we've got all of the controls. You've got the frequency, and this is where you change your bandwidth.
Yeah.
And then below that is a really cool feature. This is where you can EQ not only your microphone, but you can EQ your receive audio too. Mm-hmm. So those are all the controls on the right-hand side.
So
and then
the one thing that happened last night while I was screwing around with the net on the HRCC and trying to chase some POTA, a bunch of dudes hopped on it. Their bandwidth was 6K on transmit on 40 meters. So I got to test that out. So you do have a filter bandwidth there, so you can see it just got bigger, this blue bar. That was actually pretty cool that you could put it into 6K, and it sounded like AM, really strong AM station quality, like right there. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. The other cool thing that I love about the Flex is, whenever I'm contesting, I've got 2 or 3 slices open, and I'm looking at the other bands. So I don't know if you want to bring up another couple of slices.
Show me what to do.
In the lower left-hand corner, there is a kind of looks like a heartbeat. It's at the very left-hand corner.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you can click on that, and it'll bring up a new pan adapter.
Ah. I see. Okay, so we got some crazy waterfalls, so I'm going to adjust this a little bit.
There you go. So then you can put your second slice on another band and monitor, let's say, 40 meters.
And to do that, everybody, there's a band button on the left-hand side I found out about. So let's go to 40 because we got an antenna there too. 40 is a little quiet right now, but yeah, there's stuff going on. You can see some activity. All right, so now can you transmit on both of them? Is this effectively working split? You just move the TX button up and down, or what do you do?
Yeah, so you would have to select which slice you want to transmit on. Now, like in N1MM, you can do that with the tilde button. So I do that.
Oh.
So if you're running SO2R, you can do that. It's either the tilde button or the break button. I can't remember, but it's a shortcut key in N1MM. And then also you can do dueling CQs where you can call CQ on one band and then it will enable the second slice and then call CQ on the second slice. So this is where all of the crazy interweaving QSOs with the ISB Q elemental P that those guys are doing like 400 Qs a minute.
Right.
This is where this comes in, where they're doing this rapid fire and it's crazy. The rate is unbelievable.
So you mentioned you threw a bunch of terms out there. So N1MM is a logger, right, that you can download, and then what'd you call it? Single op 2 radio, or what was the?
Yeah, SO2R is single operator 2 radio, which basically you've got 2 radios right there. You've got two, it's in the old days they would literally have 2 radios sitting right next to one another. Now you've got 2 radios sitting, within software in this Smart SDR.
How does that handle duplexing then? So you're running, you're listening on 20, and so you threw the CQ call out on 20, then you flip to 40, throw the CQ call out, while still listening to 20 for people coming back?
So you've got 2 antenna ports on the back.
Oh, I see, 2 antennas.
And then in the lower left-hand corner, you've got this thing called FDX. Mm-hmm. Click that FDX, and that brings the radio into full duplex.
Oh, so it is full duplex. This is why people are also using it with transverters for higher frequencies for like satellite stuff, because it's full duplex.
Yep. So
that's crazy.
They've got a transverter on one.
Yep.
On one antenna port, and they've got just maybe a receive antenna on the second port, and this is where they're doing full duplex.
Oh wow. Yeah, so you could have a single antenna, but just it's a dual band Yagi or something like that, and or you had like a SAT pack or something, from M Squared, and then you could just have them broken out for VHF,
Yes.
UHF with the transducers, and then
Correct.
you're good to go. Oh my gosh! Well, hey guys, I'm gonna get on Green Cube faster than I thought once I get this bad boy going. I think so. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, Corpse Lot, thank you for the super chat. This sentence is false. Well, okay, I appreciate you, buddy. Regardless, I appreciate it. Okay, so this is obviously you can. Well, let's dip into that a little bit. Contesting on these, it sounds like a lot of people are using them then for contesting. They're getting them all rigged up specifically with the little hardware they want, but then they can do these multi-banded type of stuff or multi-radio operations, and they're pretty effective.
Yeah. With the two what's called spatial capsule units, it's basically it's got two paths where audio can come in and get converted from the wire into your radio, and it's all of the nice contest grade radios. They have basically it's a radio within a radio. And you're able to utilize basically two radios whenever you're contesting. So the reason why you would want to do that is you would be able to make more cues, because just think of all the times that you're calling CQ and no one's coming back to you. On the other radio, you can be going up and down the band searching and pouncing.
Yeah.
And then once you get into that rhythm, you're calling CQ, and then you're also searching and pouncing. And if you're able to hear the stations in full duplex, where if you got two antennas, you can do that type of contesting. Your rate goes up because you're basically making two contacts. Let's say you've got a run going. Well,
right.
Of course, this is where the interweaving of QSOs gets it, and then this is where you've got one pan adapter in one ear and one pan adapter in another ear, and this is where the mind gets to that point where I don't even understand it. And
right.
Especially at 3 o'clock in the morning, I have trouble enough staying awake. But there's guys that are doing SO2R at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're listening to two conversations, and they're able to decode which band it's coming off of, and then answer them.
That's like utilizing the processing cycles of your computer that's not being used for something else, right? That's in your head though. To be able to do that is crazy.
I mean, that's Neo saying, "Oh, now I know SO2R."
Now, yeah, I had to get downloaded the software patch. Lee Harrell says, "Welcome to the Flex Train. Been waiting for you to join for years. Kyle can show you the secret handshake." Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, somebody else said, Kyle, are you going to blow his mind with profiles? So we mentioned profiles earlier. We'll get into that probably in a future, because this isn't mine. This is a club that let me borrow it for a little bit of time here this evening, because they actually use it. It's actually the most popular thing because they've got some pretty nice antennas.
Now profiles are local to you, Josh.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I know, but
okay.
Like I'm just kind of dabbling. I don't want to get too pot committed on all of this, because eventually I'm going to have to probably readdress it all when I have one locally in my home, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is once you get everything set up like you have with your remote here, once you get your radio, all of this stuff will just transfer over.
Oh, so I don't have to tell it, oh no, that's Josh's profile. It's just mine because it's on my software.
You'll have to log in with your Smart SDR account, but then you'll be able to take all of the settings that you have on your radio, and there's this thing called persistence. And whenever you get persistence set up correctly, it just transfers over to any radio that you have access to log into.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's super cool. Oh, that's it. Jody got it. Aren't profiles the same as putting a skin on your 1999 Winamp player?
It kicks the llama's ass.
Then I'm all over it, Jody, because that was what I used to play MP3s. That's how old I am, man.
Yeah, it kicks the llama's ass.
So I'm going to share my screen so Kyle can hear my radio. But we're gonna listen to some radio things here, maybe make a contact or two. But I think this might be fun. So I think it's going to make Kyle's Zoom lock up. So I'm going to mute him or not mute, but I'm going to move him off there for a second. And so now what I need to do is up in the right-hand corner up here. See that? I need to click PC audio, and we should start hearing stuff.
Cascade.
big signal, 20 meters from me.
And I am, I don't think I'm going to do,
about 7 weeks.
I don't think I need the 40 up here, so I'm going to click the little X
Lots of stations
to close it.
in your part of the world,
Just go
in
back to
Europe,
one band.
Middle East.
Yep.
Lots of big signals coming my way, and looks like
Sounds
it's
pretty
great
good.
again tonight. 73, and hopefully we'll work you again. Won't be as long as the last time. Looking for you further on down the wall, friend.
Now,
Uniform Alpha 4.
Let me mute this for a
Charlie
second.
Hotel.
so I will mention, if you look at the lower right-hand corner, this is the signal strength that I have to the remote station. We are going through not fantastic internet to make this work, so any of those pops and clicks you're hearing is probably more along the lines of the internet path that I have than the radio. So pay more attention to the actual human voices and whatnot, because that's going to be more indicative of the quality.
Now, if you double click that, it'll give you some stats about the network.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me do that. Actually, I can just bring you on like this. We'll just have you as the floating window. Hey, there you go. All right, let me double click this. There you go. So here's my network diagnostics. I double clicked it. It says excellent, but you'll watch this down here in the corner. It goes from green to yellow quite often. So let's see. Somebody asked, what is their noise floor? The noise floor seems to be about 3 to 5-ish on 20 meters, depending on, yeah, it's about 3.
Echo 0 kilowatt. Echo
Let's see what's
I mean,
zero.
the band looks clean on
Yeah, it
20
does.
meters.
If you're picking that up or not.
Yeah, I hear a little bit.
We're on the 200s of 40 meters or 20 meters, so we might go up, see if we can find some POTA. Chase some POTA real
I
fast.
hear it now that you mention it, and I didn't realize it was all that. You sure you're not you picked up on the RFK?
That guy's low though.
Yeah, Steve, I did.
So one of the things that we have not gotten into is one of the cool things that I love is you can put spots and show the call signs of where people are spotted actually on the waterfall.
Oh, how do? Is that easy to do?
It's a little tough. We'll have
Okay.
to install, but
We'll do it on another video.
We'll do it on another video.
Video.
But that is one feature that is really cool about the Flex software.
Okay. So I dropped the audio down a little bit. Let's see if we can find a POTA.
Okay, Kilo November 6, Zulu Hotels, Juliet. I got it, Eric. Come on in. You're 5 and 7. My name is Jim. Good evening from Ohio.
Ohio. So if you ever wanted to know a fast way to find out if you got a...
Great signal out of California here to Ohio. What are you running tonight, Eric?
Oh, hopefully he's... I don't think he's a parking there. He's asking about rigs. Hold on. Let me show this really fast. For everybody that does POTA, if you pull up the POTA Spots website, just look for how many respots a station has. And so if the station has like 30-something respots, it's probably pretty likely that they've got a pretty decent setup going. So you might be able to make a contact with them. So let's do that. Let's go up to 287 here. So I'm just double-clicking around. So I'm going to go to about right here.
Yeah.
Oh, it went too far. CQ Park's in the air. Here we go. So we made it. Kilo India 6, November, Alpha Zulu. This is Kilo India 6, November, Alpha Zulu. Got you at about a 4343 into Cerritos, California. QSL?
Whiskey Delta 8,
Oh.
November, Victor, November. 1582.
QSL, thank you so much for the contact to Maryland. Appreciate it. 7-3. So there, people are just climbing right on top of me there. Jeez,
Yeah, I mean,
guys, calm down, dude. Calm down. All right, I'm going to mute that for a second. Go ahead, Kyle.
So one thing that I love this. It's great. So you gave your location as your home.
I know it's
But
not where
you
it's
are
at.
remote,
I
right?
know,
Yeah.
I know. I did it. I did it live.
I do that all the time.
did
That
it
is
live.
one thing that I have to literally. I'm like, oh, I'm not in St. Louis. I'm somewhere else.
I did even
This
worse than
is-
that last night. You want to tell you what I did last night? I
Yeah.
turned off my 7610 because I was going to be transmitting on the Flex.
I don't want to overload that.
I don't want to overload my 7610. I wasn't even thinking, man. I'm like, oh man, come on.
This
come on,
opens
Josh.
a whole new can of worms on like how to operate.
Oh yeah, dude. My buddy, one of the guys at the club, he's got it on his phone, right? So he's got it on his phone, and he's got a little dongle setup, crazy little setup, where he plugs a CW key into his phone.
Yes.
And he's now with this ability at lunch breaks or whatever he's doing, he pulls out his phone, checks the soda spots, check the POTA spots, and he chases sodas and POTAs on his lunch break. Which is just like, yes, it's awesome. It's so cool. I mean, everybody, I love my KX2. I love dragging that out at lunch and sitting at the table. But you can't do it every day. You just don't have the time. So you got a little tiny little kit, a little baggie, a little egg bag that you carry around, and you got all the gear in there, and it's just awesome. It's so cool.
It is sexy. It is very sexy.
No way, 316. Somebody is on 316 for POTA in Idaho. They're on 316. I thought 313 was the bad one. Is that? Let's see. Let's go.
It's 300.
300
is
that's the Marine one, but there's a well-known Canadian troll.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, on 313 or 316. I specifically did a POTA activation on that frequency to see if I'd get hell, and he didn't come up. I'm gonna respot that Maryland guy too. So we made a contact.
Yeah, it looks like N7DZ is on 316.
All right, I'm listening. 316. Oh, I'm too high. There we go. And yeah, I'm using my mouse to scroll. I'm double clicking with the mouse. I'm dragging. I'm doing all that stuff, and it works just fine. I'm not seeing any activity there. Let's see. Oh, California. We got a California station. Oh, there's somebody.
If you go up to 14327, KE0VIM, the traveling ham, he is at Devil's Tower on 327.
Let's get him.
Echo 4, Echo Papa.
Alpha Echo 4, Echo Papa, you're 5-7, Devil's Tower.
He sounds good.
5-3 to North Carolina. You guys have a great night out there.
Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate you from the Cerritos station 73.
There we go.
Kilo Echo 0, Bucks on the air.
Kilo India 6, November, Alpha Zulu.
Kilo Charlie 9 again, please.
Oh, come on.
Kilo Charlie 9.
We want those first.
And he's streaming too. This his
Oh, he is?
activation. Yeah.
Let's get him. Let's get him.
Kilo India, you're 5-9, Devil Tower, Wyoming. Thanks for asking, right, 73.
7-3, my friend. Good luck.
Kilo Echo 0, Victor, India Mike, Bucks on the air.
Kilo India 6, November, Alpha Zulu.
Kilo Bravo 4, Tango Victor,
Oh,
5-9,
come on.
Devil Tower.
Come on.
3-3, Tennessee, 3-3, Tennessee.
Unless like
QSL,
20's a little long. Might be going over. I hear him okay now.
India Mike, Bucks on the air.
Kilo India 6, November, Alpha Zulu.
Julius, Foxtrot. Josh, don't you have what's going on tonight?
I am live right now with Kyle AA0Z playing around on a Flex radio, and he saw you were live, or you're also live, doing a POTA activation, so we thought we'd jump in there and say hi. You're about a 5.555 into Redondo Beach, California. QSL?
QSL, you're flexing out of the beach, huh?
That's right. I'm flexing out on the beach. Yeah. I hope you have a good activation, man. 73. And good luck on your live stream.
I'm competing with it tonight. This is just the time that we're 7-3. Kilo
Yeah, there you go.
India Mike, Bucks on the
There
air.
we go. We got that. We got that one.
Charlie till Oscar.
That's
Now,
awesome.
Delta 8, November, Victor, November.
Now, I don't have this in my home location yet, right? But I want everybody to pay attention to the audio quality. That
There we go, November.
so what do we got? What do we got for a noise floor? Let me hop to a noisy, nobody talking. So this is it's showing about an S5, dipping up to S6 noise floor. You can see that right there, right?
Yep.
I'm not bothered by the noise. Like it's not annoying to me. A lot of radios, it becomes like taxing over time to just listen to the noise. And this doesn't bother me nearly as much. So I don't know what kind of processing they're doing or what's going on with the audio chain, but the quality is really good. Like even the noise just is not as bothersome. It's a simple thing, but I noticed it the first time I had it up and running.
And we haven't even played with the ACG. So, you know, there's a whole nother level of what you can do to bring that noise floor and get your gain correct.
Yeah, so I mean, we're obviously going to have you back to get more of this going once I take possession of my own. Couple of things. Let's see. We got a couple of questions. People always question me when they look up on my QRZ and saw portable remote. Yeah, exactly, because we're running portable remote. Question: would the remote control from a POTA location still count? Meaning, if you went to a POTA park and remotes from your phone? No, it will not, because the radio's not in the park. Right? I think that's true. The radio has to be in the park boundary, right?
Yeah, everything about your system needs to be within the park boundary.
Yes, so that does not count. But as a chaser, absolutely. And if you think about chasing or hunting for POTA or chasing for SOTA, then having the radio available to you is actually the most important thing. So you could be out and about doing anything, sitting in your car or whatever, break out your phone or tablet, boom, you're on your radio, your much better radio at home, and you be able to make contacts with people without much issue. So, yeah. All right, WU3S. Josh, if your mind is blown away by Flex, just imagine having a TGXL and a PGXL and being able to control both of them remotely as well. I think I know what those are, but Kyle, what are those devices?
So a PGXL is the amp that they have partnered, Flex has partnered with three, oh my gosh, now I'm getting into acronyms. It's a third party manufacturer, and the TGXL is the tuner genius. So we've got the tuner that will do 1500 watts, and PGXL, which is the amplifier, and those all plug into Ethernet, and they all talk to one another. So it's like, you know, it's like buying in Elecraft world, it's like buying a KPA 500 or 1500 and a KP tuner that all integrates into one another, and they all talk to one another. And whenever you hit the tuner button, things happen automatically.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so guys, we're going to wrap things up here in a couple of minutes, and we're going to go to the Discord for a little bit of Ham Radio Crash Course after chat. If you have questions on this whole Flex setup, we'll do our best to answer them. Kyle, I don't know if you got time, but would you be willing to hang out for a little while? Okay, cool. That'd be great. Yeah, so join us over there. The link is in the description for the Discord, because I want to give Kyle a second to talk about that, because he mentioned the Power Genius, Tuner Genius, all that stuff. There's a big thing that you're really passionate about, and it's Node Red. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
I gotta stop sharing the screen. That was not a flattering shot. Sorry, Kyle. So now, okay. So let's break this down even further. If you add all these network-enabled devices on your network, your tuner, your amp, your radio, maybe even an antenna switch, power supplies, rotors are even now controlled over network. Wouldn't it be great if you were still out portable, so you hold up your phone and you're like, hey, I want to rotate my rotor to point west, and I want to do all these other things, and I want to status it on my phone while also still using SDR Smart or Smart SDR or whatever. What would one do? What would one do?
Yeah, so there is this. Let me bring over my Node Red screen.
All right. Well, it's Node Red. You should just say it.
Yeah, so this is Node Red, and if you don't know what Node Red is, Node Red was programmed by IBM back 2013, and it was programmed for the Internet of Things. Well, ham radio operators have figured out, hey, if getting device information like your rotators and your network switches and your PGXL and your Flex, those are just things on the Internet. Those are things on your network. Why can't we get all of the information out of them and display it on a dashboard? So this is what we have done. And there is a whole Groups.io. If you you go to Groups.io and you type in Node Red for ham radio, it will spit out our mailing list. And these are the types of cool things that you can do in Node-RED. I use this to remote control, to control my remote station by turning power on and off, monitoring different things that are at the contest station. And then this screen right here has my the 3 towers and where they're pointed to. Here is the switch, one of the switches, the 6-pack, 2x6 switch pack. And then these are the antenna switches that are at the base of each tower. And typically we have about 3 antennas on each tower. So I'm able to switch all of these things remotely through Node-RED. And also, they have made nodes for Flex radios that pull the APIs, and I'm able to get like input voltage, PA voltage, PA, who's connected, what slice I'm on, and just a whole ton of stuff. So we have really... in the community, it's a community of ham radio operators, and they have put flows out there for people to download, and they're all free. Node-RED is free. It runs on a Raspberry Pi. It runs on a PC. But all of these flows that you're looking at right here are all typical flows that you'll find in the file section, and they're all there for free knowledge and free consumption. And these are the cool things that you can do in your shack with Node-RED.
Yeah. I love this, and I think this kind of goes... I know for a long time you've been talking about the gamification of ham radio or contesting in particular, but to me, this is just... It's this wider umbrella of we now, as hams, have always been known for integrating technologies into our hobby of any kind, right? This is just an extension of that to me. This is just the next step. It's an evolution. It's just what we do. It's fundamental for what our hobby's all about. And so being able to leverage things like Node-RED, live score updates for contesting, these are all inevitable things from my point of view. And I really appreciate people like you, being kind of out on the watchtower, watching this stuff coming in and being like, oh, this is sick. How do I integrate this into my shack and use it and bring examples? And so a lot of this, you cover all this stuff on your channel, right? I mean, this is another reason, go to his channel. He deserves you checking him out.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate on the future of ham radio and what we can do in contesting, what we can do in Node-RED. You know, you'll find that my channel is very niche. And it's very technology focused on all of the things that we're doing to hopefully advance Node-RED in the technology space, and all of these cool things that we can do to possibly bring in the younger folk to, oh, this is really cool. These are the cool things that you can do versus, oh, that's a hobby that my grandfather did in his basement.
Please. And if anybody's wondering, we always get this. How do you get younger people involved? It's you use the technology that they're using. You just bring it into what you're doing and make it something that's novel and actually functional. It's something that they have to have a foot in. They have to be able to have their foot in the water, at least of a base understanding of what you're doing before it's something easy that you can talk on the same level. You're going to love this question. Hey, will Node-RED run on a Raspberry Pi?
Yes, that is what we preach over there on the Groups IO. The best way to run Node-RED is on a Raspberry Pi 24/7, and it's one script to install. It's on that we have instructions on how to install it. You type in one command, and it just installs.
Yeah, so I believe I understand this a bit, is that for any one of your network devices, you generally want to put a Raspberry Pi on that device. And then you kind of have like a mothership server-ish device that does the web hosting bit of it, and they kind of all link up to that. Is that kind of how it works?
Well, you can, but I always think of it as, so you probably have a lot of peripherals on your network that run serial, because we're trying to get away from serial. RS-232 was the default standard on communicating between all of these ham radio devices. Well, the nice thing with the FDDI chips is you can get that serial out and plug it into a USB port on your Raspberry Pi, and then you can get all of those things into Node-RED. So typically what people do is they have their amp over here and they've got their rotators over here and they've got something over there. They put the Raspberry Pi kind of in their shack underneath the table, and then they run all of the serial ports to one location, and they plug them into the 4 USB ports, and you can get extenders and whatnot, and you plug those into those FIDI chips, and then you bring in a serial node, and then that serial node is able to read all of the RS-232 information out of those devices, and then you get them into Node-RED, and then you can control them. So that's typically how you do it. Now, you can have like a tiered system where, like at the contest station, we have 2 Raspberry Pis. We have one in the amp rack that has all the peripherals, and then all of that stuff feeds over to a master Node-RED server, and then that's how we can control stuff. So actually, we have 2 Raspberry Pis in the contest station.
Oh, so you don't need a Pi per device per se, but it's,
No.
Okay.
No. You typically, I mean, we have in our amp rack, we have 1 Pi, and that controls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, controls 9 devices.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's even better then, because, I mean, I've got a Raspberry Pi 5. I'm going to probably redeploy into some kind of thing.
And there's flows for your stepper, and then we'll get you set up on the Flex. And so all of that stuff, you'll be able to control all of that stuff through 1 Pi. And then after the cool thing is, after you get into Node-RED, then you can pipe it anywhere. Then you put serial ports and TCP ports, and then you can get all of that information and pipe it anywhere on your network.
Oh,
so it becomes the hub,
right,
where all of that information gets collected, and then it goes. Then you can say Node-RED is going to push all of that information to all of my other devices that I need to push information to.
Interesting. Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, it frees up the device in the sense that you're putting the device on the Node-RED system, and then the Node-RED is just kind of this network device that is easily accessible for that data. Oh, that's fantastic. Somebody asked GPIO pins. Can you actually plug GPIO pin devices into a Pi and then connect to a Node-RED?
So you can. Yep. So if you've got a bunch of relays, so Pi makes a relay hat that's got 4 relays on top of it. So you can plug that in, and then there's a flow in the files section where you literally load the flow and you hit the compile button, and there you've got 4 relays, normally open and normally closed, at your fingertips.
That's slick. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. It's almost like I feel like I'm looking into the void because there's so much to do. Like I can see it. So once you get your Flex, the rabbit hole is going to be this huge hole. It's so
deep. It's so deep, you're not going to be able to get out of it. It's a black hole.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, hey, looking forward to that, guys, on the channel. Because we're going to definitely be talking about
your life is over.
Oh, well, much time that I had to spend on all this stuff is already pretty limited. So, oh, buddy. Yeah, thank you, Interstellar Starman says, this session has been great. It's like running with the big dogs. Very elite. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like, when I got into AM radio back in the day, I was always told that the hams are on the cutting edge of technologies. This is back when like packet radio was really popular and all kinds of other stuff. And they're like, yeah, the hams are like, they're so into this, and like Arden kind of felt like an extension of that. It's like, we're pushing the boundaries of like what this stuff was designed to do, and we're making it work for amateur radio. And it almost felt like we got lulled back into like, no, we just need to do what we do, which is single sideband contact and blah, 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 like all that stuff. Like WSJTX came out and people got really pissed off about it. It's like, guys, this is literally what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be about exploring the boundaries of technology and this cool stuff. So, yeah, thank you, Kyle, for being on the forefront of a lot of this stuff because it's super fun.
It's not me. It's a lot of people that are way smarter than me that are doing the really cool things. I just have a YouTube channel, and I like to talk about all these things, and I bring them onto my channel, and I showcase them and say, you guys are the ones that are driving the future of amateur radio. I'm just the communicator.
Well, we need communicators, and believe me, there's skill to that as well. And so, yes, everybody deserves a lot of credit. But Kyle, please, everybody watching, please go sub to Kyle.
Thank you.
I did get a super chat from David that says, Leia will never see you again. That is impossible. There's no way that she would allow me to just completely devolve into all of this. There's too much stuff going on in the home front to be able to do that. But I'm very excited for this new area of amateur radio we're going to play around in. And hopefully we'll figure something out. I don't know how to let you monsters hop onto my Flex radio, but we might figure out a way that we might have some time.
My gosh, you just opened Pandora's box here.
Yeah, we could watch that, see what they do. We'll watch them vicariously, see what contacts they're trying to make on my radio. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
Fast way to get myself in trouble, right?
Right. Before you know it, you're running a pirate radio station.
Boy, I got a video coming up next week talking about that kind of stuff, and really interesting. Did you know that they increased the fines for pirate radio stations?
Oh no!
Catch you?
What was the fines to begin with? And I'm not going to spoil it, but was it pretty hefty?
Yeah, it's pretty hefty. Like
Okay.
easily 6 figures, and now they've bumped it even higher. So a day, like per
Oh my
day.
gosh!
Yeah, that you get caught. So it's pretty wild. And then they changed it too, that if the property owner is notified that there's a pirate radio station, they now become implicit on continuing of the station. So if the property owner doesn't evict them and get them out immediately, the property owner starts cashing fines.
Oh wow! Well, we should not tell Christian Slater and pump up the volume then.
No, yeah. Well, Kyle, if you want to dive out of here and go directly over to the Discord and get to talking with people. Guys, if you have any questions on Flex or Node-RED or any of that stuff, Kyle's going to hang out with us for a little while, as much time as he's got, so make advantage of it. Go over to the Discord right now. The link is in the video description. Join us over there. He knows how it all works. He'll dive in. Don't worry. Just say, hey, Kyle, I need help. I need an adult. And he'll help you out with doing that. So, Kyle, I appreciate you so much for taking the time. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I can't wait till you get your Flex and join the family. It's going to be great.
Yep. Me too. And so well, anyway, I'll say 73 to you, buddy, and I'll close things out on this end, all right?
73.
So I don't know when the Flex is coming, but we're all very excited. And yes, there will be something that I set up. I'm probably going to get that switch that's network enabled and all that, because I still will use my 7610. It's useful in a myriad of reasons. And obviously when I'm sitting right in front of it, I still like to just control a radio. But I'm going to use the Flex for also a ton of stuff that's just going to be great for the live stream and all the channel stuff that I do. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And there's obviously some stuff that I'll probably end up buying to go along with it. Maybe that amp, too. I'm looking at that amp. I don't know. Dad amp, though. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I want to say a big shout-out to the patrons. I just realized that we're at the end of the month already, so I have to spool up the next patron picks vote. I have a feeling on what's going to win for next month patron picks, so I'm very excited about the topic for probably it's either next week or the weekend after's live stream. It's going to be a good one. So make sure you follow and subscribe, because it's probably going to be Meshtastic related. I'm just going to go ahead and give a shout out there. And I have so much Meshtastic stuff to talk to you about, and that we have updates on, new software, new hardware that I've been using and testing. So this is going to be a great opportunity to catch you up on my home setup and all that other fun stuff that's been going into Meshtastic. And this is just from me to you. I'm going to give you this. This is a little secret nod. If you didn't already have a Meshtastic device and you watch my videos on the Heltec devices, still good. If you want to go down that road, that's good. But if you were considering getting one of those Palm Pilot BlackBerry type devices, go buy yourself a T-Deck, and you should probably do it now before I end up making a video about it, because there is a software update that makes the T-Deck like a proper all-in-one unit, which is something that Meshtastic hasn't had. So it's going to be a big update. And when they push this out, that T-Deck is probably going to go up in price on Amazon, or they're going to be a little bit harder to find. I have an update video on how to kit a T-Deck out. Not T-Deck. Am I saying that? Yeah, T-Deck. The T-Deck is the one with the little BlackBerry screen and little trackball. There are big battery upgrades for it that will just run it for days, so you can run this thing nonstop, and it is going to be it's going to be really slick. I will update the links. I'll throw the T-Deck link at the top of this so that I have it in there. But I'll also drop it in the super chat. So if you're interested in that, the T-Decks I think are like $76, and you will probably end up throwing a GPS antenna if you want that, or a battery on it. They're not too expensive either way. But hey, if you want to know more about that, follow us over to the Discord. We're going to go over there for the after chat. Give me about 15 minutes. I'll get a new live stream going, and we'll be taking your questions live on Hams Helping Hams. That's the show. The after chat is all about helping you out, get started in amateur radio, or in this case, ask your questions to Kyle about Flex Radio if you're so inclined, or Node Red. I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thank you so much for watching, and Hardy 73. So if you go to Amazon right now, the T-Decks are for sale for $57, which that's pretty cheap, and I think that's on Amazon Prime. I'm dropping the link right now for all of you that stuck around. That's from me to you. All right.